Hello, everybody. Creating this for the set of posts that are happening on the second week of January. Dr. House, the fictitious television personality who has zero bedside manner. I don't know if you've ever watched even an episode of that show. It was very compelling. If any of you, and many of you have, gone through being with a doctor that is spot on, but could use a little politeness and never really got questioned, and then now even their staff walks on eggshells around them. I sort of had that situation with my eye surgeon, but results don't lie. So he's been able to save and rescue 75% of my peepers. So I'll take the win. Although when I'm around him, sometimes I get sheepish myself, and Batman finds it hard sometimes to even ask questions, but he's the head of all of it. He's not just your everyday eye doctor. He's the head of many other surgeons and optometrists. I want to bring you back to a story which vividly, this is something I will never forget. I seldom have talked about this story, but it will apply to the particular one of three passages in Scripture that I choose, I should say, for each and every set of posts that go out. They're set in threes. And this is the one, if you want to pause, a little sneak preview of the image that I've created for the one ahead. Luke was a doctor, a physician himself. The four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Dr. Luke writes of the great physician, Jesus Christ. It's Jesus talking, so it's part of the red letters in Scripture. It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. Okay, now with that said, my father, my biological dad, was saying things, releasing them into the atmosphere, a perfect storm, a convergence of symptoms of feeling yucky, to put it in a very polite, rated PG manner. He was going through a Job moment where everything was just happening all at once on his person. And it was very troubling to hear one's dad, if you're close at all to your parents, to hear them say, I feel like I'm losing the will to live. I just want to die. I just want to leave. Mind staggering, logic defying. Now, what had happened was he has his, like we all do, our backpack of things that we have to deal with, contend with as we age, for instance. This was never meant to last forever. It's going to get replaced, ultimately, with perfection. So this is just a meat, M-E-A-T, suit, and it's for the now, but not for the hereafter. It came to a point, and my sidekick was here with me at the house. This happened just yesterday, brand spanking new, where I told him we're having a conference call, spiritual version of telehealth, if you will, which I've had a few of those since going through all these calamities. And I told my dad, for right or wrong, because I'm not saying I'm correct with what I said, because I've had time to chew on it, but it came out. Sometimes the best things are and the worst things just come out like without you having really premeditated it. And I would chalk this one up to, this was something that came from me, but was uploaded into me, maybe to say, at just such a time. And so I told my dad, and we've had our ups and downs, but we have more ups now, for sure. And I love him, and that's not that anything other than that statement is not on the table for right now, for this particular moment. But I told him, because his stuff is physical, mostly, I should say. I don't see a distribution of physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and psychological. I think I'm trying to say there's four different parts to the pie. Attacks or things that can make us feel no good, yucky, no bueno, stencho. And the majority of his has been, unlike mine, mine has been spread out over a lot of things. The Miss Guatemala thing, which was most recently gone over, the most recent set of posts that I published was about how did Batman become Batman. Pause. All supplementary material is right here. And this is what is done also by my dad, myself, my mom, my sidekick, and perhaps a Rolodex of other volunteers who will be popping in from time to time. We have an extra one coming up, matter of fact. We're going to be doing that once again, without fail. A solemn promise, a sacred vow kept with high command, now in its third decade of helping those less fortunate, the homeless. Now, with all of that said, Dad's has been mostly of old age. He's 90 now, and his body is aches and pains. My mother's birthday is coming up next week, and I didn't end up buying it, but I might as well have, because it would have fit to show us a visual illustration right now. We recently finished watching The Sound of Music, and on the front cover of this card, this is not the card, but on the front cover of the card was an old person. See, this is a card. Was an old person going, eek, ooh, ouch, yikes, gadzooks, zowie. And they're on a mountainscape. And then the inside of the card goes, tongue-in-cheek, the hills are alive with the sound of aches and pains. Happy birthday, Mom. But my sidekick said, no, you better not grab that one. Why don't you grab this one instead? And it ended up being a birthday one of the Peanuts gang. And I had her fill it out and submit it. And it was supposed to have been dropped off today, being Saturday, the first of the NFL games that were played earlier. Okay, all of that said now, but the physical, what is it when you get to a point where, and I've been there, gang, so I'm not just talking theoretically, where you are all, whatever I'm doing here, I'm done. I don't need to be an invalid. I don't need to be so slammed that I can't function normally. So I was not a happy camper. I could have worn that shirt today. I was picking out what shirt to buy, knowing with this broadcast in mind. My sidekick and I started praying over my dad. Now I recall, and special thanks to my prayer partners in Africa, one day when my mom was going through cancer. My mother beat cancer, one of the most serious forms of cancer that it extends not to a tumor isolated regional, but it just goes all over the body. She was losing the will to live at that point. And I had that conversation with God also, the losing the will to live, when I was in a coma. There was a point where I just told God, okay, I don't want to be a vegetable or strapped to the bed indefinitely, and that's it. You might as well take me, because I know where I'm going. Last breath here, first breath there. My mom, the African partner, stepped in and said this powerful prayer. And almost as if right then and there was a demarcation, a key moment in my mom's life where that was it and no more. She became untouchable on the road to recovery, and to this moment, cured, absolutely cured. I'm happy to report no cancer remaining. But in my dad's, he's been dealing with an ongoing thing that doesn't go away. The doctors have no answer for it, etc. They've just been baffled. And meanwhile, I want to talk about today's message is called Dr. House and Uncle Mike, because the television show of Old House, where the guy had no bedside manner but was genius, like my eye doctor. So sometimes you let it go in place of a brilliant mind. And I was a cabbie, as many of you know. I was driving in my taxi, and I ended up having, as a regular, because I have bedside manner, unlike doctors, and it served me very well as a cab driver. There's Dr. Vikram, and that's not his name, gang, because I don't want, if anybody's out there lurking to attack me, I don't want that person also that they become the subject of interest. But you can do your own homework. The fictional character House on the TV was based on more than one, but only a handful of doctors who were infamously one of these guys that didn't take any crap from anybody, even his own staff. So much so to the point where Vikram was one of these guys who had his own, there's the body of doctors, right, for the hospital in general, and then there was an inner circle of people that were his team only. And the most puzzling cases were sent up the ranks all the way to Vikram if nobody else could figure it out. Okay, with all that, and that's the show of House, right? It was his team, his little insulated entourage, as it were. I had an uncle who served us in America very, very well. He was a Purple Heart recipient and a Gold Star recipient for bravery and duty during Vietnam War. And they recently opened, and it's still one of the most newest cemeteries for a military cemetery. It's here in San Diego, where Batman's domain is. And my Uncle Mike, is on the first row. Listen carefully. He's on the front row as when you enter the cemetery. And that's usually reserved for people who went above and beyond the call of duty. But there was, at one point, this is before House, slightly before House entered the picture, Vikram, where he was dealing with such physical pains, not to mention lingering effects, chemtrail of post-traumatic stress disorder, which my Uncle Mike had signs of, and he lashed out at people. I was one of them where he hit me over the head with it was pretty big, about this big, let's say, tape recorder, cassette tape recorder, smashed it on my head one time when he ran into me. But he was over-medicated. And I want to talk about this too, to set the stage. So the people who prescribe all these medications and such, whatever it is that you're taking, I've got to take 4 at present, mineral supplements, vitamins, and meds in the morning, and 2 at night. No, wait, hold on. In bottle form, and occasionally and frequently with regularity, 3 of them that are kept refrigerated. So how much is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. And I'm only 60. My dad's 90. He's got double or triple that. It's actually crazy. It's not what God wanted for us, right? But this is the era we live in, and he's a little on the paranoid side of trying to do everything and anything possible. I begged him, I pled with many of my family, as many of you did out there, for them not to take whether it was Pfizer, whether it was one of the other companies, AstraZeneca, or the others, their versions of, because you were all guinea pigs, the China virus cure or remedy. And, as I get older, I'm losing all my black hair, and I want it to be gone. Silver is a badge of honor itself. That the companies that are out there giving us medications, brand new breakthroughs, if you will, they want you on drugs in perpetuity. There's no money to be made if they cure anything. There's no cures anymore. They just want you on the money train, the gravy train, for the pharmaceutical industry and for the doctors themselves who prescribe specific drugs. And they may be getting, no matter if they took a Hippocratic oath or not, they may be getting a kickback. Shenanigans. Or it's just that they're not at the level of House or above, right? And the message we're talking about is there are cases when every mystery is above our advances, whether medical advances or otherwise, above our pay grades. And that's when you kick it up a notch, kick it to the higher authority, if you will. I know somebody. I got a doctor, if you will. And there's a mystery to that, right? And I'm going to tell you what I ended up saying in the prayer and the amazing end to the current saga of what happened. And it led me to the creation of this particular set of posts. In the case of my uncle Mike, he was unable to stay awake because of the medications. They were turning him into basically a zombie, and only 25% of the normal, what's called a day in waking hours, he would only be up for 6 hours a day. Spread it out, perhaps he'd wake up, have a bowel movement, then go back to bed. But the medicine kept him down so severely, and I felt so bad for my uncle. Uncle Mike, I know you're paying attention. In the beyond, as is my brother, who will come up in the story as well. And this is when I already had acquired Vikram, Dr. House, as my regular. So I knew Vikram because I was moonlighting at the beginning, both as a very well-seasoned, well-accomplished, one of the best, if not the best, at his craft in the entire city of San Diego. 8 years having been a restaurant critic officially for the major metropolitan newspaper out here. I had my own column. It was called Yummy Diego for San Diego. Plus, I worked front of the house as a fine dining server. And Vikram was one of my regulars. Whenever my regulars came in, they went to my section. I was their guy. I would not sometimes remember early on, let's say in the process, the names of the people, but I would certainly remember who they were. This is the way God put my brain together, and what they ordered, where they sat, what did they like, what did they not like, perhaps just as importantly. And so I would often have Vikram there having the equivalent of power lunches, and I'd work a double. I'd have him at dinner time as well. Sometimes he had a big group with him, and people a lot of times were in the medical profession, were always wanting his time. And it was a privilege to be with House until he became House. And he didn't hold back. And sometimes that's on me also. Sometimes I'm very profanity laced. You got to take the whole package, baby, when it comes to me. And I'm not drawing a paycheck from a church, so I let it loose on occasion. And so did House. So I would watch it as I'm working as a waiter, right? I would watch it while I'm serving. Not say too much, because that's not for me to say. It's not my place, right? One day I'm taking in the cab, mind you, with everybody's butt clenched in the restaurant and everything, we got to talking. We had to stop at Vikram's office. Now, just to put it in perspective, the real life version of House, this guy House, he was not just the head of his own team. He was considered untouchable. He was the professor emeritus. He taught at the School of Medicine. He was the head. Come on, you. He was the head. I have a theory that the animals sense the Shekinah glory when the Lord is in the presence of these little training exercises. That's some of what she's doing, coming around. She feels it. She senses it. I'm talking about macadamia. Now, with that said, Vikram was also, and I learned this only after going to his office, he was the head of where his office was located, was on the penthouse of the main hospital. Wait till I tell you. And then next to it, adjacent to it, was the city's Veterans Hospital, where all the military people hurting. So he was in charge of both hospitals, not to mention that he was a guest lecturer all over the world. And he has his team. Oh, I'm glad we paused there to describe that all. So before I even got to go to his office, this is important. I had told him, Doc, I hate to bother you. I'm not that guy, but I just feel terrible for my uncle, who is And by this time I knew that he was in charge of both the normal hospital and the military veterans. And my uncle is a veteran. I go, my Uncle Mike is a veteran. He's there at veterans often, and they've just given up on my uncle, basically, they being the staff, the medical teams. I go, all they do, Doc, this is me talking to House, is that they throw medicine at a wall and hope something sticks, hope something works for him. But they've gotten him to a point where he's asleep 18 hours daily. Asleep. No quality of life. And the other 6 includes getting up, going to piss. It's not a good life. It's terrible. I feel awful for him. So I'm asking you, I know I shouldn't ask. I know you're busy, but he liked me. See, I don't walk on eggshells around House. I think he liked that. He's in my domain when he was coming to the restaurant. He's in my wheelhouse. He's in my area of expertise. Let's put it that way. And I think that when I talk to you here, I carry a little bit of knowledge, of expertise when I tell you things. So keep with that in mind. In the cab, we're heading to his office. He has to go pick something up before taking him to the airport. And because he had forgotten it. And he was having a luncheon on this particular occasion. So we were heading back, and he goes, he taps me. He's sitting in the back of the cab. He goes, I'm going to let a couple of the people on my team, and I knew what that meant. It's like the show of House. I'm going to let a couple of the people on my team to go visit your uncle. He's in the hospital right now. I said, yeah, he's there. He's overnight. They can't figure it out. He says, I'm going to send a couple of my team up there to see what's going on. Now I'm going to jump to the Uncle Mike conclusion of that one. They, too, I think he had a team of 6. They went to my Uncle Mike's room. They went over all the things that they're giving him intravenously, etc. And don't get me started on Uncle Mike, how he perished in the end, but he lived several years after that, quality of life. But they decided that they're going to remove 2 particular medications and either substitute them or remove them entirely, because I don't know the particular technical what they ended up doing. But they might have given him a homeopathic remedy, and some of you out there should investigate this. Whenever I was doing, in the past, podcasts, when a sound came in of a text like such, what you just heard, and I'll keep it going now, on this particular thing that I'm doing, whenever a sound comes in unscheduled like that at random, that's pay particular attention, gang. That's importante. That's coming from upstairs. No, it's not a coincidence at that timing. So you should consult with your doctor and go, hey, wean, W-E-A-N, wean me slowly off of too many meds. The body can only process so much at a time. The body gets confused, and that was the case with Uncle Mike. They took 2 of his many, many medications at the time off. Maybe they substituted with something that's not drowsy, for instance. And he had a normal life. Beyond the great physician consultation, getting a second opinion, as it were, he was able to have a normal life for upwards of more than a year, where his faculties had all returned. He was his old self, not constantly like the book of Job worrying about the pain and suffering, the physicality of it, right? I get up to House's office, and this is where I realized, oh my God, this guy really is House. And it was a circular room. First of all, it was intimidating just to go into his office, because on the walls of his office, this is no exaggeration, gang, honorary doctorate degree from Oxford, honorary doctorate degree from Cambridge, honorary doctorate degrees from University of Chicago, Stanford, Yale, Harvard. And I'm cutting it short. He had doctorate degrees from about 15 different let alone placards from John Hopkins and other Cleveland Clinic major institutions. This is the man. This is the authority. Maybe a handful of people all around the world had the titles this guy had. And lo and behold, he helped my Uncle Mike. Now, he picks up his things, but I took inventory, I saw all the placards, like, oh my gosh, this is the main guy. If he can't fix Uncle Mike, nobody's going to fix Uncle Mike. And they ended up really helping Uncle Mike. Checked out, he was awake. The other doctors were stunned. Vikram, on the way to the airport, tells me a story. I said, Uncle Vikram, you know these people are very nervous walking around when you're around, or when you take them to, you bill it to the hospital, you take them for a luncheon, right? And they're paying attention because you must have a reputation. You know, I told him straight up, and he tells me the following story. He goes, one time I myself was performing surgery on a guest. He was in abject pain. So I gave him very strong stuff that is supposed to knock him out. And I put in the order for the medication, and I live about 40 minutes from my office. I live about 40 minutes from my office. So he tells his patient, who's conscious, before he leaves the hospital, and where his office is, they're 1-on-1, right? So Vikram tells his patient, look, I'm leaving you. You should be good. But even the slightest little pain, this is my personal phone number. Do not hesitate to call me directly. Use it as a last resort. But you shouldn't have any pain. If anything happens, why are you waiting to reach out to God? Why do you wait? You, oh foolish mortals. This is House saying, don't hesitate to get a hold of me immediately. 40 minutes went by, almost exactly. Pay attention here. 40 minutes to the minute went by, and a phone rings. This is Vikram telling me as he's putting his key into the front door of his house. Now, if he's already got the reputation of being the real life House, imagine raising it to another level where he went thermonuclear, because this is the story. That's why I'm sharing it. And I haven't shared this one too much. He answers the phone quickly, and he says, this is House, Vikram. And he says, it's the patient. And he goes, I'm sorry to trouble you. Even the patient was maybe on eggshells. I'm sorry to be a nuisance. He goes, but you told me to call you. Yes, what is it? He says, I can't take it no more. The pain is back. He says, did you request for the nursing staff to come in? He said, yes, nobody's coming. And he says, has the doctor come? Have you screamed? Have you said anything? He says, yes, I've been asking. He got in his car. I can only imagine. Sorry, the cat trying to take center stage. Maybe the Shekinah is intensifying in the room. He drives all the way back. So now we're talking 80 minutes, and his patient is like this. And he's walking as Vikram's telling me the story, he's walking to the front of the room in the ICU. And the on-duty doctor is there at the door. This is the power that House has. He's startled to see House, and House says, are you, incredulously, mind you, are you just now arriving to see my patient? Just now? Are you just now getting to my patient? And the doctor didn't know what to say. He got caught like the cat with the canary in its mouth. Well, I was busy. I'm the only doctor on duty for 2 floors, and this and the other, this, that, the other, right? And on the spot, and this is Vikram telling me, so I don't think Vikram making anything up, believe me. Vikram says, I used it, by the way, on another occasion. That's a story for another day. If you scroll through these, because all the archive, numbering in the hundreds of thousands of things of value, is on here. You can just keep scrolling. This is free, safe, and secure. Just keep scrolling. It's for free. But he tells the doctor, a doctor, mind you, a doctor. This is not a peon candy nurse. This is a doctor. He says, and I said it again on another occasion regarding an employer of mine, that's okay because you're done. The guy was fired on the spot, had to pack up his things and go. House changed a few meds maybe, and the pain was dealt with, and he didn't have any more pain after House was able to go home. And I'm driving. I said, my taxi was a speakeasy. I said, Doc, you're the shit. He started laughing. He goes, I got my moments, and he kept being my regular. And because, you know what, game respects games, right? So he understood in my domain, I know what I'm talking about. And I respect it in his domain. He knows what he's talking about, right? That's why yours truly got to be a restaurant critic for 8 years. Talented palate. You don't just you don't put a plumber in charge of farming. You don't put somebody without a gift of taste to be a food critic or restaurant critic for the major metropolitan newspaper. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. My dad now. So I'm praying. We've been asked, my sidekick and I, to participate in corporate prayer for my dad. And I said, Dad, before we begin, I go, this is crazy. This has been a difficult one where we've prayed on multiple occasions in the past for you to bounce back from this dizziness. And one of the major things that he has is that. I go, we've process of elimination. We've tried to eliminate all these possibilities, all these things possibly. What is it? We've prayed. We've been here before. But I was troubled. I was wounded in me. And I said, you're now saying aloud, and my father's weeping, and I've only had a couple of occasions where I've been in the presence where my dad, or over the phone, where I witnessed or heard my father crying uncontrollably. And it shakes you up as a young man. And this is one of those occasions where he says, I'm losing the will to live. I don't want to be here no more. I want to die. And I said, well, Dad, you haven't been your old self. I go, every time I see you, all you talk about is the aches and pains. You don't talk about your past. You don't share any witty anecdotes. I don't see joy. He says, I haven't had joy in a while. This troubled me. I couldn't sleep well last night. And I told him, Dad, but let me put it in perspective for you, Dad. And I go, and you will forgive me right now if I'm off with what I'm about to tell you. But this, remember, me talking to a 30-year-old is the equivalent of my dad talking to me. So a 90-year-old talking to a 60-year-old, the things that a 60-year-old doesn't know what a 90-year-old is going to. So my father humored me and just let me talk. Thanks, Dad. Because maybe I'm off. But to the 30-year-old, they're going to be like, oh, these are pearls of Sophia wisdom I'm about to share with you all. Perhaps. I could be wrong. But I told him over the phone, I go, Dad, have you lost a leg? No. Did you lose complete eyesight in your eyes? No. Did you go into a coma and they gave you a 30% chance to live? No. Did you have facial paralysis for 6 months where you looked absolutely horrifying? No. Was your child murdered? And that's where it got a little controversial because we'll save the reason why for another day. But I said to my dad, I haven't lost, all those things happened to me, Dad, but they haven't happened to you. I'm not diminishing what you're going through, but that is to say that I've gone through my fair share, I think that's reasonable enough to say, of aches and pains and things that are attacks on my physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Those are the four. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual persons inside that make me, that make Batman, right? I go, but you of late, it's only been the physical, or the majority has only been that. So we started praying, and my sidekick delivered a great prayer. I jumped in, and I started talking to God as only Batman has. Once you become really close with high command, that should be your goals out there, GOALS. You need to be able to get so close where you are talking to Christ's bridal party does this. You talk to your spouse. The collective men and women comprise the bridal party of Christ. You are talking to the only bridegroom, heaven's most eligible bachelor, who is betrothed. You're looking at the spouse, Mrs. Christ. Great mystery to this, Mrs. God. Greater mystery to this, two become one. Through marital compact and covenant language used to describe this coming into synchronicity and concert and tandem, working towards common causes, championing the causes nearest and dearest to the Son of Man / Son of God, the world's exclusive Savior and Messiah. So they don't get a diaper rash. Certainly they don't walk on eggshells when I talk. I keep it 100, as the colloquial saying goes. I keep it on my sleeve. I am a straight talker, so I talk to you straight. I talk to high command straight. If the lightning bolts come, then I absorb. But they don't get thrown out of shape, out of whack when I talk. And I told Dad, Dad. I told him afterwards, because there was a beautiful progress report today, and it's part of today's progress report. I told him, look, Dad, maybe you need to get into the habit of being the Psalms, PSALM, or M/S, to describe the collective music book of King David and others. There were others who contributed to that book of Psalms. But David was considered one of the greatest of the great, the Paul McCartney, perhaps, of the Middle East, if you will. As far as drafting music up, right? John Philip Sousa, or what's another one? Night and day, you are the one. I'm trying to remember his name. Forgive me. Anyway, I said the Psalms are often described in seminary. And when I went to seminary, I went to the school your pastors and priests have. So don't judge the book by the cover, because I defrocked, right? And in a sense, because I like to be unassuming. I like to wear civvies, or to the trained eye, this is an honorary figurative superhero spiritual avatar to describe. He leads a precision squad, not unlike House, of prayer partners that focus a specific antenna array based on what I feel. And my triage board is different than their triage board. What I feel is priorities. This needs our greatest focus, Lord. Cole Porter, Night and Day. I think I'm right on that. Anyway, great songwriters. Imprecatory is the fancy schmancy $2 word to describe the book of Psalms. And I told Dad, this means that David wore his emotions and everything else sometimes on his sleeve. He didn't pull punches. He told things like it was, and sometimes that involved profanity or questioning God. Imprecatory. How dare you, Lord? The shades of the old Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump. You call this a storm? This has been building for a long time. It's about time we had this conversation, me and you. Yours truly, once in a while. So I had one of those Forrest Gump moments with the Lord, laying again everything at the altar footstool. I'm like, I'm sorry, but Father, and please forgive me in advance, but I'm going to take off the kid gloves for a moment. I'm going to talk to you like a warrior. I go, we are embattled. We have not failed in our mission. We even restarted just last month after almost 1 year, but before 1 year. That was very important to us. The team got back together and started putting out the help to the homeless. That's been faithful on our end. We've kept that mission. The Spiritual Justice League, if you will. You can't save the world alone. I go, my dad's been a big part of that. I go, the devil's been throwing him around like a chump. I go, as part of the prayer, but Lord, all I see is that Dad is being attacked mostly on the physical. I go, I don't know, and that's between you and my dad. I don't know if, in the prayer I referred to my dad as, so as not to confuse my sidekick, if my biological dad is paying for his dues for things that he has not repented on, or has not brought to the altar footstool of the Lord. That's between the two of you, I said. I go, but if, just trying to put it into a context, I said, if my dad is paying at a high price right now, whatever it is, let's say it's 75% level of anger that he's incurred, whatever it is, or maybe just by virtue of being a part of this group, BiblesForHomeless.com, if you want to help us, because there's an out-of-pocket expense that is involved in that. And I'm on food instability right now, so I'm on fixed income. So your help is greatly appreciated. I go, maybe you can split it up so it becomes a little bit more manageable, I said to the Lord. I'm not telling you to stop hurting Dad, which I don't even want to dignify, but it's not our will, as Christ, as baby boy told you, Father. It's not our will, but your will be done. But maybe you could distribute it so that he doesn't have to experience it all physically. Maybe you can spread it out a little bit so he gets it in other departments. Or like you did with Mom, with the cancer, just get rid of it. I go, we are worth it. We're putting in the time, painstaking. We've done our work. We haven't failed you on that. And it was an impassioned plea. All right, come on. You want to come? Come. Shekinah glory is getting big right now. Anyway, the prayer lasted about a half an hour. And to make a longer story short, I didn't sleep well last night. I'm thinking, my father's asking God to take him out of the equation. And I told in the prayer, I said, and I reminded my dad the following day, I go, the Bible talks about a day upstairs is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years here is as one day over there. I go, so if he lasts, let's say, another 10 years to 100, and it's quality, not quantity. But right now he doesn't have quality. So I go, I want you to forward a message to everybody up there that wants my dad to come, where you just say, okay, it's time. I'm going to pull the plug. What's another 15 minutes, Lord? What's another 10 minutes, Lord? I want him here with all his faculties, cheerful. I want him, if his time is, it's his time. Let him go with a smile on his face. Not like this. Not like this, Lord. It's unacceptable. But it's not right. And I could be wrong. I'm just speaking like a mere mortal, mind you, right? But I keep it 100. That's one of the things that makes Batman. I don't walk on eggshells, even before the Lord. Even knowing it could cost me my life. But the Lord is pleased. The Lord is pleased. Evidence that 24 hours later, somehow miraculously, mysteriously. And during that time, I told Dad, and maybe this came from the Lord, uploaded for the purposes of paying it forward to extending myself, right? Dad, maybe you're over-medicated. Maybe that's what's causing everything. The body just can't deal with it. You've got to put a pregnant pause, if you will, just 24 hours to see if your body can finally catch up. It's trying to play catch up. And these doctors throw medicine, too many meds. Maybe you have too many things going on. Pull back. So between then and now, on his own, he did, without hearing first from his doctor, I said, 24 hours, you're not going to die. And if you die less medicated. I go, you could take the chance for 24 hours. I do that myself with all these meds and what have you. I fast when I feel like I'm not feeling myself. I'm feeling yucky. I put a pause on all this stuff. And that's what happened. He put a pause on 2 of the meds. This morning, combination of that plus the prayer plus answer to prayer, right? It's not just praying. but it's how closely, how intimate are you with high command? That counts. I even told God during the prayer, I go, look, we do a lot of good work. I have a bargaining chip. We've done work. I'm pulling it out. I go, he's the head of the family. I go, people around the world are going to be greatly impacted when my father finally gives the swan song, when you send for him. I go, not now, not at this moment, not during this, not this way either. I go, it's got to count for something. Anyway, it's good for you out there, by the way, to get your own brownie points and put a smile. It was job number one always. Put a smile on the faces of the Heavenly High Command Royal Court each and every day. That should be your job. That should be the first order of things each day. I've said that on numerous occasions. I'm on the record. You can't take that away. I've said that from long, long ago. And the stuff's out there in perpetuity. The spiritual digital Norman Rockwell of his generation, as I was recently called by a colleague that I greatly respect, within my wheelhouse, not unlike Vikram, who gave me that beautiful, unsolicited, new secret identity in Christ. Watch out for this guy. And my father the next day sounded like his old self. He was weeping the previous day, flipping pancakes. This morning he was sounding like his old self as if nothing happened. It was so startling. I said, well, Dad. And then I asked the Holy Spirit, just give me words. And I gave him a bunch of things, and some of it sticks. But it's not like I'm throwing aspirins, morphine, or whatever meds he gets at him. This is throwing you good stuff. Some of it sticks, some of it may not stick immediately, but results don't lie. Results don't lie. Which solidified yet the second of three Bible passages we're going to use today. I am convinced from Romans, the Apostle Paul, that neither this, neither that, neither this, neither that, neither this, neither that, neither this, neither that, can ever separate me from my bond of holy matrimony. Nothing. 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 And the third one, my cheat sheet. Let me see if I can bring it up. There you go. We do 3 sets of passages at a time. And we do sound bites also. So what am I going to use for the mere mortal? Vincent Price, of course. Look for the materials. Bless you all. Thank you, Lord. Dad sounded like Dad. He's not out of the weeds. He's got to wean himself off too many meds. I think that has something to do with everything. Just the body can't handle it. The body starts losing trust in the person. Hey, you're not listening to me. I'm screaming out. Maybe he's too medicated. Could be your problem as well out there. Holy kiss. Protection. Prayers of protection. Prayers of protection for you, your loved ones, all those in your spheres of influence. By the way, all this stuff, copy, paste forward, move it, share it. When you do, it's credited to you. When you do that, not me, as having performed soft touch evangelism. Get the word out. Get the word out. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.